Here we are today, the Dave and Dave Show. Episode, what you know what episode we're at?
50, my birthday,
52. Yeah. What he means by that, he just Freudian slipped. The year you were born. You totally, look at the smile. He can't even help it. All right, we got jam-packed Dave for you. First, let's talk about something. It's in the air. I know you already said something to me. Part of the show is finding out about who we are. Today is 9/11. Can you believe 18 years ago?
18 years ago.
It's one of those moments in life where everyone remembers exactly where they were.
If you're old enough.
Yeah, true. And what a lot of people don't know about this man right here, he was a 20-year Fire Department of New York firefighter. So for those of you who don't know, that's FDNY. That is the real deal fireman. He was a New York City fireman for 20 years. Our family has a rich history of the fire department in New York. My grandfather, who came over in Ellis Island from Domenico Tina, called him Danny Tina, he was the captain of an association called the Columbia Association, right, which was all the Italian firefighters of New York City.
Yes.
And he was the president of the whole group. There's some cool photos of him with Vince Lombardi and
Uncle Danny was my brother.
Yeah. You want to talk about it a little bit, Uncle Danny? So
I don't know if I want to talk about it because it's a hard day.
All right, let's reframe the day.
Yep.
So 18 years, right? A lot of people have trauma in their life. I know it's a real estate show, but let's dig deep. 18 years, right? I think there's a lot of 9/11s that happen in people's life. Is that fair to say?
On Facebook this morning, that's what you saw it all day.
No. 9/11 type tragedies within people's life.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. My friend Chris Desmoni, I didn't know her cousin died that day.
I'm taking it even deeper. Moments in their life that are reminiscent to 9/11 in their own lives. Tragedies or days they remember, right?
Right.
And the irony of this, I'm getting a little, is you taught me this. What I'm about to say is you have to pull the positive out of every situation, no matter how dark, right? Mm-hmm. There's a light in part of that. There's a silver lining that you taught me to do, right? Mm-hmm. And it is definitely a mournful day, and it's a day to remember and reflect. But I think it's a day to have gratitude as well.
Yep, rejoice.
Right? And you knew some of these people and some of these men and women and some of the stories of people who were in your
firehouse, yeah.
And that they transferred to another firehouse, and because they transferred to that firehouse, they ended up being part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Probably some people, because they transferred out of it, they weren't a part of it, right?
It's fate. A lot of it is fate.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely a day to honor first responders and a lot of the heroes of that day.
Yeah,
like our Uncle Danny was there. His brother was there helping people.
Retired in the building next door and carrying people to safety, because once you're a first responder, you die a first responder.
Yeah,
you never give it up.
I remember, even though you retired 7 years by then, it was tough. You wanted to go back and help, right? It's a thing. So the way I look at it is this: you can't go back and change the past. What's happened has happened. But you can learn from it, and you can get some gratitude and perspective for today.
And everyone says, why am I always so happy and enjoying the day and enjoying people? Embrace the good.
Why don't you tell the story, one of your firemen stories. Tell the story of you in the basement. It's a great story.
When I got trapped in the basement?
Yeah, it's a great story.
Well, you tell it. I'm not.
Come on, wake up. We got you. It's okay. It's okay.
Don't touch me.
All right. So the Italian-Irish thing back in the day was a thing, right?
Oh, it was a thing.
So people don't understand. Every ethnicity gets their little space and time where they get discriminated against. It's like no one is safe. So when the Italians came over, the Irish are some of the people, it was an Irish-Italian thing. So my dad had an Irish captain. Now my grandfather, who we told you about, rather than say to my father, we're going to put you at the easiest fire department in firehouse in the city, he put him in the busiest one, of course, right? With an Irish captain who hated Italians, right? Do you know what, so a derogatory slang for Italians is guinea wop. And what wop means is without papers.
Without papers.
So there's a famous also letter from a chief or a captain to his people. You know about this in Illinois? And said, we're not going to hire those monkeys. And they were talking about Italians. You believe that? It's a good history lesson. Kind of timely. We all should love each other, right? Anyway, this captain had it out for you. This is the way you told me the story, right?
He did.
Like, what, he'd always be like, Tina, like, messing with you. So there was a fire, right? And it was a surround and drown. You didn't think anybody was in it, right? So surround and drown is you don't even go in. You just literally put the hoses around it and you literally surround and drown, right?
That's what it is.
You taught me well.
I did.
Right? But the captain was like, no, I think someone's in the basement.
He said, Tina, we go in. We go in.
And he brought you and a probie. You want to talk what a probie is?
Probie, first year.
What's a probie? They don't know what a probie is.
Probie is less than
probationary
a year. Firefighter.
Probationary officer, less than a year. So a probie doesn't have a lot of experience, right? So it's the captain, big guy, right? He was a big, chunky Irishman, right? You, which I'm assuming you were skinny as a rail back then.
Well, I was 180 and fit.
Yes, and you had a little bit of that
hair,
that fluff around there.
Yeah.
And the probie. So three of them go in. You go into the basement to look for anybody. Right?
Go to the basement to the fire. We were engine company. We went to the fire.
You went to the fire. So what's the difference between the engine and the ladder?
The truck is a search and rescue. The engine is putting out the fire. We're water.
Gotcha. So you go to the fire. The other people. The ladder, they go up into the thing. You have
the basement. They go in and search.
Gotcha.
Search
but you work together.
Right.
Do they still do it like that?
Yes.
They do. Okay, so there's like engine, then a number, and then ladder company.
Yep.
Right? And what engine number were you?
289.
289, right? It was really cool. He had the hat. He had the whole. He stunk like fire. You couldn't get it out of him, right? Right, all the time. So you go down into the basement, the three of you, with the hose.
With the hose that was squishy instead of hard.
Okay. And what happens when you get into the basement?
Fire's in front of us. There's no rescue operation, and the water stops out of the hose.
Water stops out of the hose.
The fire flashes over our head and goes up the stairs. The windows are sealed, so there's no way out.
No stairs, right? Because
all the stairs had the fire in it.
The fire, so you can't get out that way. Can't get out of the window. And now you're pretty much, I'm gonna die down here, right?
Yep.
Captain apologizing at this point? What did he say?
Nope. He said, go to the fire.
So the probie, you told me, started freaking out.
Yeah, I sat on him.
So the reality is you have the oxygen, right? So he was using up his oxygen as quickly as possible.
Right. You lay on your belly and...
So you laid on him to relax him.
Right.
You never told me what the captain did anything? Was he...
I said to the captain, call Mayday. You gotta call Mayday. We're trapped. And then he did, and we all just laid on our belly waiting to see what was gonna happen.
His nice way of saying waiting to see what's happening is he going to run out of oxygen and die before help comes?
Right.
Right. And then they came.
They came. Yeah.
That is a New York City firefighter. Nothing against Vegas firefighters or whatever. You know, you have a lot of new homes here.
We got out. They second company came, put the stairway out. We climbed up. I was the last one to walk out of the house. The house collapsed behind me, hit the back of my helmet and sent it into the fire. And then we went out. I put a beanie on and we fought the fire and put it out.
It hit you got that close.
Yeah.
Whew.
Had to buy a new helmet.
How did you go back the next day?
Went back fighting that. We had an hour break and went right back to fighting for another fire.
So it isn't just 9/11, it's a real deal. So, you know, I always say about my father, he has many chapters of his life. I once wrote an article about you because I know somebody, forgot who said it, said, man, your father's always there, always in the right place at the right time, because he's been successful in so many different areas. Being a firefighter, owning a restaurant, real estate, management, and then owning a company, right? And I said, sooner or later, you've got to give credit where credit is due.
Uh-oh.
and that is, it isn't a coincidence when you do it the right way and do the work and you're successful that many times and in that many different ways. So.
Thanks.
We didn't mean to talk about this. It just kind of came up.
I'm sweating.
I could tell. I could tell. But it's a great day for reflection. It's a great day for honoring people. And it's a great day of taking that reflection and honor and be appreciative of your life. You know, why not pull that silver lining out of it, like you say?
You bet.
All right.
We're here.
Okay, so we have, some of you from last week, this is Facebook Live. There's a camera here recording because we're also recording it. We have a third camera here. So if we're not looking directly at you, that's why. We're also going to do some pauses so that we could talk about different topics. Okay, so did we pause enough for the firefighter thing? We got a thumbs up? Beautiful. Kind of a behind the scenes for you guys. All right, so let's jump into something that we're very, I forgot to put this up here. We're very versed in. This here is mine. Yours at home, right?
Yeah, mine's in my office.
This is...
But I'd like to start using yours to create... I like the gavel.
So you get the gavel. So this is the GLVR Election Edition. So my dad probably in a nice way is going to support and not support people. I am going to be a little bit more rough around the edges as usual, right? So as most of you know, or some of you know, I was the president of the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, 14,000 members in what year?
2016.
No, 17. I was 17. Let's look. 17.
Oh, I was 13.
And you with 2013.
13, yeah.
I decided to stop here. My father went even further. He was the president of Nevada Realtors in 2016. And then now he's the regional vice president, which is a bigwig,
next year,
2020, for NAR. Which 6 states? The whole region's yours, right?
New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, us, and Wyoming.
Okay.
I got that down.
We're not saying that this stuff to impress you. We're saying it to impress upon you that when we talk about what is required, we walk the walk, right? Too many people nowadays, right? I said it. I put it there. Paper tigers. You know what paper tiger is?
Yeah, but
they talk a big game.
I know, and do nothing about it, and don't bother. The trick is to give back. You give back in service and serving there like you did and I did, and in your community. Giving back is when you receive.
But it's also another thing. He's nice about it. I'm also about the man in the arena. One of my favorite quotes is actually, they'll probably do a B-roll and show you. It's up there, right there. And it's literally about being a leader and jumping into the arena. Because what people don't know is when you jump in, the more of a leader you are, the bigger the target on your back becomes. Especially if you're a leader like you and I, where you are committed to doing the right thing and not afraid of doing the thing that's unpopular. Again, paper tiger is someone who talks a big game, says, I am the one that will throw my hat in the arena, and then they fold, right? They just go with the majority. There's a lot of people in that room who will wait and see which way the pendulum's swinging, and they'll just go with it. Would you say that?
Yes.
This is where I want you to open up a little bit, because where I believe you are the strongest. All right, you know what? I'm going to get... I actually wrote a while ago. You ready for this?
Doesn't kill you, makes you strong.
Open letter to anyone applying or running for a position on a board. Tell me what you think about this. So this, I've done so... Come near me. What are you doing? I've done so many speeches for you, like introducing him. And the thing I always say about him, and then I say it about myself, is when you're a leader in these positions, you want to do everything. You want to change everything. Everyone comes in with these big ideas. But you got to remember, there's 15 other people in the room. You could be a lame duck president. You only get one vote as the president. And if you don't have the room, you lose.
Yeah.
So even though you want to do big things, you've taught me this, the main goal should be just leave it better than you found it. What do you think about that?
If you do everything to do it right, not for your personal gain, but just for the right of the association, the right of the realtor, you'll never lose.
So
They will follow you.
You jumped. I love that. Do the right thing, even if it hurts your personal interests. That's a true leader, right? This is going to hurt me, but it's the right thing to do, right? Here's one that I love. Share the wins. Take responsibility for the losses. Mm-hmm. So when you win, say it was us. When you lose, say it was me. That's a true leader. Don't you take the blame?
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
That's the way you bring everyone in. Be honest, vulnerable, and fair. And admit when you're wrong. Like, I remember, you are the best at this. Like, when people are wrong, like, you don't crucify them, and you are like, what's your favorite saying about erasers, right? Or the P?
Oh. Said pencils have erasers because we all make mistakes.
And there's no P in my forehead for...
Perfect.
How do I remember the things that you say?
Because you were trained.
I was trained.
By me.
Okay. Here's a big one. Make sure everyone in your board is heard before you speak. No one has great success alone. Now, me and you had something in common as presidents. We had notoriously long meetings.
That everyone got to say everything that was on their mind.
Exactly. Because what you don't realize is you're creating other great leaders at the same time. You're letting people find their voice. Mm-hmm. And you're not being an egomaniac and making it about you. Plus, it's also very strategic and intelligent. Hear what people have to say before you talk, because then you can get a kind of a temperature of the room as well, mm-hmm. right? And when everyone signs off on it and everyone gives their opinion, you're going to get more of a buy-in from the whole group. I mean, there were a lot of times during my presidency where we made some big decisions, mm-hmm. and it was unanimous. There's a lot of different personalities. Ask a lot of questions. As the leader, mm-hmm. You know, Tony Robbins has a great saying, the quality of your life is based upon the quality of your questions, right? You ask bigger questions. How can my life be better? How do I find out about this? It impacts your life. The questions you're asking yourself throughout the day determine your life. Am I going to eat this? Am I going to do that? Okay. Honor your group when they have great ideas and give them credit. You are the master at this. When someone says something, you put the spotlight on it. Any more feedback on that?
I just think that, like you said, you can't be an egomaniac when everyone has great ideas hidden in their brain and in their thoughts. And if you give them time to speak it, they'll come out and let you know what they think. So I like letting people come up with ideas when I was in that position.
You were good at that, and also fosters better ideas. No one makes it on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't take it personally as a leader. You'll appreciate the bulletproof skin you grew after the fact. Now, this is a tough one because the leader gets the arrows in their back, the swords. Like, you get a lot of blame. So don't take it personally. This is what you signed up for. When you say, like, you're great, like, not many things touch you. I had to work on this more. But I also had pies thrown at me. Remember this craziness? I had flyers written up. Yeah, I had an old boss that was fun. But then again, I digress.
Yes.
But even there was a situation where something went out with my name on it, being the president, and there was a lot of people in one area just mad at the association. And I took the heat. But I was president. I made the choice. Okay, replace yourself. This is an obvious, easy one, but people forget. Can you agree? Like, that's part of building up other people. And lastly, this. This one I think is the most important. Only experience and make sure it doesn't define you. You know what I mean by that?
Yep.
There are a lot of people that let this thing go to their head. Do you agree with that?
Like I always say, you're in that seat for 1 year, and then you become past. So it's do what the best you can in that year, because then it's over.
Well, people would ask me all the time, they're like, why aren't you going to the state, or why don't you do this? And I'm like, I did it. I don't really like the politics of it. I like the leadership of it. But it didn't define me. So if you ask me the 5 things I'm most proud of in my life, it would be my marriage, my children, my relationship with my loved ones, building this company with you. There's so many things before I get to being president. But if being president or being on the board in this significant role is in your top 3, it's not healthy, because what happens is people start doing things that aren't congruent with who they are. They start selling out. They start saying things they don't mean. You know what I mean? Like, you with me on that?
Every presidency defines I found out things that I did in my presidency now have been changed back because of the way I ran the company.
Totally.
So.
All right, so let's jump in.
Yeah, now we're jumping in.
Pause.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's jump into the people we're going to support. All right. Not yet.
Running for president-elect is Aldo Martinez, unopposed.
Unopposed. So
we support him.
So let's talk about each one. Aldo. Even if Aldo wasn't run opposed, I would support Aldo. I think he's a great guy.
So do I.
He was not on my executive team, but he was in my boardroom.
On your board.
He is a very fair man, and his intent. So we talk about this all the time, right? You and me. It's not always what you do; it's what your intention to do, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you would agree. Aldo's a military guy. He's a good. He wakes up wanting to do the right thing. Would you say that?
Yep.
Okay. What's next? I'm trying to pull up my text with all
next,
the people.
Vice President is
Mark Civic.
Mark Civic, running unopposed.
Okay, Treasurer.
Treasurer is Jillian Batchelor
versus
Vandana
Bala. Now, I've served on the board with both of them.
So have I.
Have you really?
Yes.
Okay. Right off the bat, who are we supporting?
Well, I'll talk a little on it. We're supporting Vandana, and here's the reason. A, it isn't a personality contest. The treasurer is a very important position, and it's a position where background is really important. So I don't mean years on the board, but this is a typical Vandana. Her and I, right, were on finance together.
Yep.
She didn't sit at those finance meetings and just sit there. She asked questions line by line on the budget at every meeting.
Yep.
Where's the money going? What does this mean? I sat there for 2 years watching Vandana ask questions, intelligent questions, and understanding what it is to be on that committee. That, and now, besides being on the board before, that prepped her to be a treasurer that knows what she's doing.
A treasurer?
A treasurer.
So Vandana would bring the bylaws to our meetings.
Yes.
And knew them inside and out.
Right.
She also is a broker at the company she is with.
Right.
Nothing against Jillian, she's an agent.
I'm not. That's why I started it with. It's not a personality contest here. Vandana is more qualified to be the treasurer.
Agreed.
And that's why you and I support her so strongly, because she is a person that could do the job the best.
Plus, what she tells you, she means. There's no hidden agenda with her.
Well,
like, it is what it is.
Agree.
Like, she's not the floofy and thinks that, she doesn't play games and like, I'm trying so hard to be nice.
Well, I just think facts play here.
Facts do.
In other words,
intent matters too.
Who do I want to look at those checks and understand the checks and balances of our association to make sure everyone's doing the right thing? That's
all right,
why
and who do I trust that will know what's going on?
Well, she does, because of
her. I agree. We're on the same page.
So that's why our vote is for Vandana. Next, there are 5 board positions available.
And 10 people running.
And 10 people running.
You don't have to vote for 10. I mean for 5.
No.
Even though, so, we don't believe in this, but I'm going to call out some companies right now. I'm not going to call out the actual companies.
I know what you're doing. Go ahead.
But let's say ABC Realty.
No, let's say Urban Nest.
No, I don't want to put our name associated with it.
Because we don't do that.
We don't do this shit.
You're right.
ABC Real again. I got away with it. Well, no. ABC Realty has Jane Smith running for a board of director. Now, you could vote for 5 people, but what ABC Realty will say is, don't vote for anyone else except for Jane Smith. And here's why. Because when you vote for 4 other people, they're getting their votes plus, 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 plus.
It makes that person win.
You only vote for your person. Now let's say it's a 236 person company. They have 236 more votes and no one else got voted for.
And that isn't for the good of the board. That's for the good of the company.
Exactly.
And if you're voting, you're supposed to put the good of the board, the combination of people that will make the best board possible.
Now, on the other side of that, if you only like 3 people, only vote for 3 people. Right? So we're only going to support 4 today, right? Out of 10.
Right.
Okay. So let's go through them one by one. I'm going to open with Lee Barrett. Okay. Now, I love Lee. He's a commissioner, a past president. He is overqualified to be a board of director. But my personal take, now this is just me and it's my opinion, is I would never go backwards and go on to the board. Right. Even though it's tempting to be the hero and the savior, because when you're a past president, you feel like you've been through all this, you've seen it. You can give them some historical reference.
And you probably talk like you're president because you could never lose that position.
Exactly. But I personally believe, I need to get out of the way. If you need me or him, just call us. We will consult. We'll come to the meeting.
Which we have.
We have many times. But I'm getting out of the way for the next person. Right? So even though I love Lee, and I believe he is more than qualified, and he would get my support, I'm just talking for me, I personally just don't think past presidents should go back into the system.
Now, I'll give my opinion on that. When you have a rather new board that seems to have no history, sometimes having someone there with history like Lee that knows what has happened in the past is an anchor on the board to stabilize some of the things that happen there. So I
just feel like it's a feeling of resentment.
Well, there is. It's a tough thing, but at least Lee knows the ropes. That's what I'll say. So in that way, I'd rather see him than a lot of.
So then you're supporting 5.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We're individuals, you and I. That's the great part of us.
You're wrong. I'm just kidding. I said you're wrong. I'm just messing with you. Kevin Child, we're not supporting. I'm going to save Sean because we're going to bring him on. Obviously, we're supporting Sean Cunningham. I served on the board with him. He is very intelligent and makes everyone get along. Very, very. He should be already on the executive team. Mm-hmm. Marissa Kagan. Now, I have some history, Marissa. When I was president-elect, maybe, she was very vocal at a meeting. And I was like, who is this person, right? But then I answered her question in my no BS way, and she was very appreciative. And what I loved about her is she was willing to be the man in the arena. Because a lot of times in these areas, it's an echo chamber. You know what an echo chamber is?
Yeah.
It's when one person says something and everyone just repeats it over and over and over again because no one has the testicular fortitude to actually...
Good way of saying it.
To actually be like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. And everyone's going that way. It's like the 11th man. Someone needs to speak up.
Right. And I support
her. She spoke up.
I support her because she is not part of the crowd.
Yeah.
She is an individual, and she will vote with what she thinks is right or wrong and not afraid what everyone else thinks of her.
And a very intelligent person.
So that's one of the reasons. She is an independent voice. In the past, I supported people I thought would be independent voices, and then they got on the board, got on a clique, and didn't do anything. I supported them.
Which is like real politics too.
Right. Exactly right.
Now say whatever you got to say, paper tiger again, and then I get on, and I'm like, I just want to go on, my free trips and whatever, get my stipend. Marissa isn't like that. And back to Vandana, she's not like that either. Vandana will do what's right. She will lay herself at the mercy of the table.
Vandana could be a very unpopular person sometimes because she says exactly what she thinks is right and not popular. The same way as president, I did a few things that I became very unpopular with certain crowds or committees for.
Not to get into a soapbox, but it's harder for a woman to be the unpopular one and to have the voice.
Absolutely.
And she gets that bad rap, whereas us, we can get away with it more. You know what I mean?
All I could say again, as a treasurer, watch out, because every check she signs will be verified.
All right, George Kiprios, he's next. Now, I don't know George, but I did see one of his ads, and I take issue with this ad. He put,
Yeah, I'm not supporting.
most of us have just been busy taking care of it. Allowing others to advocate on our behalf has led us to the position we are in now. Listen, a lot of people over the years have gone down this road. So George, you're not the first if you're watching. But I would caution you to not talk about what you don't know about, right? It's a whole nother game when you're behind the curtain.
I think he volunteered the first time this year, and he's talking about basically that line says, "I'm not going to do the crappy job that everyone else has done." That's his platform.
And there's a ton of irony here,
Yeah.
right? Because Zillow Instant Offers is George, right? So regardless of your take on that, that's...
Yeah, I'm not supporting.
So what position are we in? I've heard some people say they like him. I don't know the guy, so I don't want to...
This is not a personal judgment, though. See, that's what I said. Don't take it.
But I didn't like...
No, that line is very, very derogatory.
It's just, you know, because... All right, this is a great time to talk about it. Let's talk about change. So my line for my year was, change is coming.
Right.
Which the CEO at the time and the president, who was above me at the time, both... This is how this works. I'm gonna give you a little behind the scenes. They sat me down and said, Dave, this is a little bit too aggressive. Change is coming, right? This is how it works. And I said, I don't care. This is what we're going to put. Because they tried it, a lot of people, especially the good old boys, Pops and I created our own team. It wasn't no good old boys, even though we seem like we're an institution. They'd be like, all right, Davey, now that you're part of the group,
follow.
Come on in and get in line.
No following here.
Not happening, right?
No.
So, and the other thing about change is everyone asks for it, wants it, and then the minute you give it to them, all of a sudden, what don't they want? Change. People talk the big game, back to the paper tigers. So, with all these people, I'm curious, you know, when the change comes, if it adversely affects you, what are you going to do? Right? So, a little side token on that. All right. Who's next? I have the group. Joel Lifshitz and... Is it Lifshitz?
I have never heard of him.
I don't know who he is, so I'm not supporting him. Shantae Patton. I know Shantae. She's a good lady. She's not really an active realtor, like doesn't a lot of business. We're not supporting her. Mary Perry. We're supporting Mary Perry? Yep. You go first.
Mary is outspoken. She has volunteered for everything. She's big with the veterans. She's big on give back. She has been a past president of Women's Council, and she's never stepped up to be on the board. So with all that involvement that she's done, all her dedication to volunteerism, I believe Mary deserves a shot to see what she'll do as a board of director.
I don't always agree with Mary.
That's okay.
I don't always agree with her, but I believe her heart's in the right place, and I believe she'll be an addition that will be on the right side of the issues, the correct side.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yep.
So that she has our support. Yured Rivera.
I support Yured, and she put me on her flyers, and the reason I do is because in a board that the last few years have seemed so cliquey, like in that they'll vote in a group rather than what's right. Yured has never been afraid to stand alone, give her and voice her opinion, go with her opinion, and vote on what she thinks is right rather than what the clique is voting for. And the board as it stands now has a huge group that's a clique, not independent.
Yeah. Not your board.
No.
Not mine. Yured, I had a couple of meetings with her because she had won, and I think she got the
past
one-year
president
term.
of
No, but I had a
WCL.
couple of meetings. I got to see
Yeah.
her in action, and not afraid to throw it in the hat. A lot of strong women, not afraid, and her natural state is to go with to do the right thing. So we completely support you, Ed. And then lastly, Michael Vestudo. Michael has been a Facebook warrior for a long time against the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend him for actually going for it. I think Michael's going to get a rude awakening if he does get onto the board and to see what it's really like. It's a lot easier to be. So part of the Man in the Arena is, it says it's not the critic who counts, right? Or the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. Now the strong man and women are the one actually in the arena. You got to be careful, and this is where with George and Michael and some of Kevin, a lot of these people, it's easy to be like,
You're doing it
you're
wrong.
digging that ditch wrong. And be
Right.
like, all right, well, get in the freaking ditch with me. You know what I mean? Like, you're the Monday morning quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So just to we're basically going Aldo, Vandana for treasurer. The 4 people that I'm supporting are Sean Cunningham, Marissa Kagan, Mary Perry, and your Rivera. Your 5th would be Lee.
Just to get some seniority in there, and maybe because I'm old.
Yeah.
And past that, I would go with that way.
So that's who we support. Now we have one of the people here that we'd like to bring in.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sean, we're 1,000% in agreement.
I'm trying to do pauses.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So we have with us a very, very special guest, my brother
from another mother.
from another
We dressed
mother.
alike today?
We
Yeah.
did.
I like that.
Yeah, did a twin.
Sean Cunningham, running for the board of directors. Now you're jumping back in. Now Sean was on the board. What?
The last 2 years before today.
So,
Before
yeah.
this year.
The year I was president and the past presidents. You,
Yeah.
I had you.
So I have a
Yes.
question for you. How come you jumping back in?
Because I just feel an obligation. I enjoy a year off. It was good to have a year off for sure.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I just feel like there's a lot going on right now. I have an obligation to get involved with the board again. We're at a crossroads, as we seem like we always are, the next couple of years. And so, my attitude is if you feel like you can give back, you have an obligation to give back. So.
I like it. Because we had joked. I mean, towards the end, we were like, peace out. Because it kind of.
You need a break. It's good. Vandana
Yeah.
took a break.
I
You
sold a
took-
lot more houses this year. But,
Yet you're still willing to jump back in.
Yes.
Oh, what?
You know how it is. Once you get in,
I do.
They never let you go.
Once you're in, you never let go. Sounds like something else you compare me.
So what do you think you bring to the board? Because I could sit here all day and tell people what you bring, but
What I try to bring is, I should look at the camera. What I try to bring is, I'm like a peacemaker. So in the boardroom, people may agree, but because of, ego may get in the way, or personal feelings get in the way, and you can't get something accomplished. My attitude is, when in the boardroom, if someone sitting next to me has a great idea, I want to make sure that I support that idea. So it's about the idea, it's not about the people. And so what I try to do is just bring people together in the boardroom so we can actually get something done and move on to the next thing, because we have a lot to get done in the next 2 years. And those of you that have been in the boardroom, you can lose a lot of time in the weeds sometimes, and I try to avoid that if we can.
all right. So let's say you win, which I think you do, and you're back in the room, and and they change something that you were passionately for. Which, from what I hear, we wasted the last 3 years. Just kidding.
Yeah.
How do you handle it? I mean,
What's happened? I mean, I think you've been there. It's happened. There have been times. Should I look at the iPhone or the camera, by the way? iPhone. Oh, that camera's pretty cool. Oh, right camera. All right. It's happened before. You've been in the room.
Yeah.
There have been times where I was passionately in favor of something, and it didn't pass by one vote. And when that happens, you're with the president and with the board. So again, if it's about the organization first, so if the board decides to do something, you accept it and you move on to the next thing. You don't belabor the point, because I think we spend a lot. I do think we still spend time occasionally, at least when I was on the board, rejudicating something that has already been passed. And I'm a believer in when the board says something, you follow that policy until there's a reason to change it.
So Sean is probably the best at something. You were really good at this too. I was okay. Where he keeps everyone together, even when you're passionate about something, and you're able to move on. It could be almost infuriating because you think, oh, you're Switzerland. You're not Switzerland.
No.
You're very. I've seen you go to go to the wall for things. Like you were like, this has to happen, but you let it go really well, and then you're like, all right, let's move on. And because that whole one voice thing is tough. So one voice is basically a passionate vote, and it gets passed 8-7, let's say.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a half a room that is not happy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's tough to let it go, especially when you have people voting in blocks.
It will happen now.
And that happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of politics that happen on this group, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Sean is able to rise above that better than anyone I've ever seen. Without a doubt.
Thank you.
It's almost infuriating because I'm like, Sean, let's go fight. You know, we've probably been, I'd say at least 80% of the time on the same.
Yeah, we agree. Sometimes we disagree, but it's always from the. I disagree with a lot of people on the board, but not because if the policy, because I have a different life experience than the next person or a different business. That's why you want diversity in the board of thought, and you want people to debate on the board. But you don't want it to be personal. It should be, my idea is better, here's why. Or your idea is great, I support you. It should never be personal. It can get personal. I mean, it gets long days with 15 different people. But my goal is to keep it focused on the issues and move forward as well quickly because, your year we spent a lot of time in the boardroom. God love it. We got a lot done. We spent a lot of time in the boardroom.
You hear that? Can we catch that? He said we spent a lot of time in the board. God love you. Took a shot, but then said we got a lot done. Yeah. Just put it out there.
No, we got a lot done. I'm telling you. And I told you this before. We had 8-hour board meetings, but it wasn't like we didn't need to have them. I mean, it was an unusual year. Obviously.
It was a new CEO. Wendy was her first year, and I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
We were selling a building and building a building. I mean, there was a lot going on. So it was an effective year. Actually, I enjoyed that year on the board. It was a good year. I think you did a good job. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I've told you this before. I think you did a good job.
Yeah, there was we didn't target anyone or take anyone off.
Everybody wasn't best friends, but we accomplished a lot together.
Which is never going to happen.
Yeah.
But here's the thing where love and respect come into it. I know Sean, I know him well, and I know his intention is to do what he believes right. He's not going to vote for what's in his best interests or because he's going to click. He's an independent thinker that is fair and does the right thing. So if I don't agree with Sean, and he votes against my interests or what I personally believe in, I can sleep at night going, I love and respect him enough to know that at least I can live with his decision.
Right.
Yep.
I can't live with when it's just voting in blocks.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's where it's a little
And unfortunately this year, and I stepped in on a lot of it where I probably shouldn't give my opinion, there were some votes on what to do and where to go that strictly benefited the board of directors and did not benefit the overall. And I didn't like that because when you start voting or picking money spent that's going to benefit you, then you lose me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I made my voice heard.
Good. I'm glad.
In my own way, and it did change. They changed it.
Nice.
But when you see people do that, you have to speak out. Like Dave will say, "Oh, I did it." It's not because I want to do it. It's because I can't help from doing it.
Yeah.
Because when I see a wrong like that, you have to make it right.
And that's what you need in the boardroom. I mean,
right.
You spend a lot of time in the board, obviously. It's like you want people in there that are willing to say, I can be the only person in the room if it's wrong. One person can actually change the vote by being articulating your passion about something. But a lot of time in the boardroom, you'll have half the board doesn't really engage, and that's where one reason I'm running is I know you can never have too many leaders on the board. Let's put it that way.
Great analogy.
I've never on any board. I've served on a lot of boards. Every board needs more leaders on it. Every single one.
Great analogy.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't give you this question beforehand, but I like mixing it up a little bit. What are the top 3 things that have to change, or that we didn't finish, or what do you think I need to be worked on?
I think it's time to, it sounds maybe cliche, but we have to modernize. I mean, we have a beautiful building, so we did that part right, but we got to do a lot more than that. So part of the issue is our paradigms are old-fashioned, and this might be controversial to say, but I think almost everything we do at the board is old-fashioned. I think the way we run our committee structure is old-fashioned. I don't think it doesn't, we don't know who our members are really, so we don't reach out and tap into the people who have aptitude to come and serve in a committee-like structure or to serve on the board even. I think that the board should be more based on recruiting people who not based on who they know or popularity contests, based on their abilities, individual abilities, competency based. And I would like to see, because we have 15,000 members, they all have something to offer. Every member does, but we don't tap into our members enough. And so what I would like to see change is us to rethink our committee structure, to tap into our members and what they're really good at. We need to get our website completed, a real, forefront-facing website that can compete with Zillow locally, or I shouldn't say Zillow, but any website locally. It should be the first choice of the consumer is our website.
Agreed.
And this stuff's going to cost a lot of money, and we need people, we need members to lead it that know what they're doing. Not me, someone who's worked in IT or worked in website development. We have a lot of members who have.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see done. Is that 2 or 3?
No, you hit the nail on the head. You brought up a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot. Yeah.
So, not knowing your answer, we're completely aligned. You basically streamline. It's time to streamline the whole association. I like to think outside the box. So, Northwest MLS, you ever hear of this?
Yeah.
So this is an MLS that is actually separated from, this is super controversial. NAR hates this. They have separated from their association, right? So I don't think we need to do that, but we need to pretend that you're starting it from scratch.
Yeah.
What is just total nonsense that you could cut away? So if you were starting your own, this is kind of the mindset. If you're starting your own GLVAR, what would you need and what would you not need? So you know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what you're saying. Like streamline, get rid of all the nonsense, right?
A lot of what we do, and you guys know, I mean, a lot of what we do in most of our real estate organizations is old. And so, like, I'm on the RRC National Board, and we changed dramatically. We still got a lot more to do. But
what's the RRC?
CRS, RRC is Residential Real Estate Council. So we have 32,000 members.
So I talk fast.
Oh, sorry.
But he talks faster, right?
All right.
Residential Real Estate Council.
Yes.
Old CRS.
CRS.
What does CRS stand for?
Council of Residential Specialists.
Gotcha.
So we modernized. We went to a competency-based board. We changed our entire volunteer structure, and it was not easy to do. But you have to be more nimble for the future. And so if I was going to start a board from scratch, I would say, okay, we need to know everything about all members, and we need to find the way to get members involved in what they do best. We need to look at the staffing. I think we need more staffing related to communication in the modern format. Like, let's bring in some students that are really good at social media and get them to run our social media. Because the reason our members don't know what's going on is because we're communicating with them in a way that's a little old-fashioned by sending emails.
What do you think of apathy, though? I mean, let's go to you. I mean, you dealt with it. What about 15,000 realtors?
We miss a lot of opportunities. I'm chair of the trustee committee, so we gave out scholarships to over 100 people. So my suggestion was, let's write them a letter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tell them, wow, I'm so happy you kids got this money from us. And think of volunteerism. Think of getting involved in your board. So every opportunity where we get to do a good thing for the realtor, we should be writing letters, sending emails, saying, participate, join with us.
But and I know we were probably on the different side of this issue, but you think about the scholarships, for instance. The communication is garbage, right? So a lot of people don't know. It's getting better. So if you're watching, it is getting much better than
much
it was.
better than it's ever been.
Because you have to re-engage a lot of people who just completely shut off for a long time. But what's happening is most people don't even know about the scholarships. And the only people that get the scholarships are the people on the board who are saying, hey, go for this scholarship.
No.
Is it changed?
It's changed.
So you're telling me, how do they know about
have put it all over the place on your email.
Uh-huh.
And the reason we sent the letter is because the kids that got the scholarship, we didn't know the parents.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't know the parents is because there was a few that were volunteers. So what I'm saying is every opportunity to reach out, you have to reach out to the members and say, we want you involved.
Okay.
And that's
the process is better for scholarships now.
Yeah.
We changed that a couple of years ago.
And it's going to be your job once you get back on the board to keep on reaching out. And what a good leaders pull new people on.
I think it's our job as leaders. If 9 out of 10 of our members don't know about the scholarship, they don't know about the Good Neighbor Award that we have, they don't know about what members are doing in the community, they don't know about the election. Let's be honest. I mean, 2,000 people are probably going to vote out of 15,000.
Yep.
So, or they know about the election and they don't know the value of voting. They don't know about RPAC and the value of investing. So at some point we have to say, as a association, our leadership, we have to find a way to get through to them. We can't just say, well, no one pays attention, it's their fault. people pay attention to what they want to pay attention to.
Sure.
I mean, they'll watch cat memes on YouTube. I'm just saying.
So you
Good
spoke-
analogy.
So one of the reasons why Sean is so passionate about a lot of things you're talking about is because we talked about walking the walk. And when it comes to community service and charity, there are few people that can compete with what this man does. I mean, talk about, I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know you don't like, and you get uncomfortable.
You'll start sweating like
See
I
already.
just did.
Man, when are we going to start owning what we do?
We're humble men.
I know, but I'll put Billy Alt on the spot. Billy refuses to brag or talk about what he does. The reality is, when you walk the walk, people will be inspired by you,
Well,
and you're more likely to do it.
That's the only reason that you even know about it anyway.
Yeah.
I agree, because like junior achievement is an example of something that I could do by myself, but I can only do one classroom by myself. And this year we'll have 80 realtors doing it. So I agree with you. I'm not. I like to make it about we. Like, so we as an association, our members built up Realtors in the Classroom every year to be the event that it is, and it'll be bigger every year. And our members do, it's not a competition, but there are members that do a lot more than I do for charity. And they don't talk about it because they don't want to discuss it. But I think that if we can highlight all of our members that do work in the community, it'd be huge for the association. And when I say highlight, I mean send a camera crew out. Let's get it to be. We can run a 24-hour YouTube channel about what our members do for the community every day.
You're right.
For veterans, we have
You're
people running for the board. I know people that have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity, and you would never know it. Like, they don't even tell you. We have members who are on major boards. I would love to highlight that. So when I say communication, I mean, let's go modern with communication.
Yeah.
Let's give our members something to look at every day that's interesting. And I would watch every day a video about members in the community doing something and be inspired by it.
That's
and
a great idea.
Yeah.
Because
I get tired we have Christina Chipman here. I get tired just watching. I go, you have 3 kids, you have a successful real estate,
Yeah.
and she is volunteering every night. I go, how do you? She goes, I never stop. If I stop, I'll be, I'll
The
stop.
consumer should know that kind of thing. And
I agree.
They don't know that.
It definitely puts
Greg
a positive.
Tan with Nevada Partnership Homeless Youth, Billy Alt with everything to do with veterans,
Yeah.
Mary does a ton of
That's
stuff.
incredible.
There's a lot of
That's a
my
lot.
wife.
There's a lot.
So, yeah, a lot of great things. All right, so give us your last reason to vote for you, my friend.
Here's what I would say: when you vote for the board of directors, there'll be five people going in out of how many are running. So 10. So the way I vote for board of directors is who's going to be in the room when there's a conversation happening. When it's a confidential conversation, which is when the big stuff happens. You want to know the person in there is someone that you understand why they're voting and how they're voting. So for me, if you're a broker or an agent, anybody who's trying to run a good business, you're the person I'm thinking about in the boardroom, and also the integrity of the association itself. So. Like we were talking about the voting, if there's a conversation in the boardroom, it's got to run according to procedure. We're going to follow our own policies. We're going to speak with one voice after the board votes, which I don't think we still do a great job at that.
Yeah.
So I want to, what I care about, I like to see it, be passed. But if it's not going to be passed, the association is going to run according to our bylaws and our policies.
Well, you have our full support,
Thank you.
and if you don't win, we'll just go create our own association. Okay?
So,
And MLS,
yeah, let's do that.
In our
Sure.
spare time.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you
you
for
so
having me.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The consigliere himself, Mr. David Sanders. Wait, do we have a card? Where'd the card go? Oh, right here. The law offices of
now.
David B.
Yes, sir. I'm the third coolest Dave in this room.
Yes.
I don't know if I like that.
That wouldn't be the first time.
You're the second youngest. We can change things up and make you number 1 in certain areas.
go.
You're the only one with hair, so things like that go.
So let's talk. Dave has, prior to going out on his own, you were the legal counsel for the association, Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors.
Yes, sir.
For what, 6 years?
A little over 6 years, yeah.
Excuse me.
What?
I hired
You did. He was the
2013,
president.
my presidency.
Yeah, tell a story about that. People at the time didn't want to pay for him, right? He's a little expensive at the
I
time.
looked at Nelson and I, fairness, Nelson was the CEO, did
Yeah.
a good job. We looked at all the candidates and we came up with Dave. And, in good old real estate fashion, we offered him a little less.
Yeah, negotiate.
Nick Nelson said, so what do you think? I said, to get this caliber, we have to pay this amount of money. And March or April, we signed our contract, and
The rest is
there
history.
is Dave.
Yeah.
And we finally had someone we could ask questions to and have a great answer, and it was a great run.
And it shows your negotiating skills for your clients, because your number one client needs to be yourself, and you were unwilling to take less.
Yeah, he negotiated.
Excellent.
It was a good move for both of us.
Yeah.
So Dave and I were pretty much holding hands on the way out. My last year on the board was last year, but I'm still in the MLS for the remainder of this year. And Dave, your last day was in June, right?
June, yeah.
Now, since then, as I know you so well, there's been an overwhelming support from the community. Like, you're super busy over here, right?
Yeah, it's gone better than I could have hoped for. I think that there's a need for an attorney that understands real estate, that understands the code and NRS 645, and I felt I could help more people avoid getting to the courthouse by going out on my own.
Yeah, because you're really the legal counsel at the time for the board of directors and the CEO.
For the entity itself, not any of the
Yeah.
participants.
So it's difficult when people are asking you questions to be like, hey, I could help
Can't
you out.
answer it, yeah.
It's a tough thing. So I joke, give him a coronary. I want to just be able to like make enough money to afford him ourselves. But at this point, I'm never going to be able to afford him. He's doing so well. But, you know, having an attorney, so we have you on retainer. So he's not just Urban Nest's attorney. He works for multiple different companies and agents. But even in the beginning, now my father's the more frugal of the two of us, right? So we have you on retainer. It's not a small number, it's a fair number. And even though he loves you, he's like, man, that's a lot every month. Until something we need comes in, and it's very nice to be like,
Call our attorney.
call our attorney. So for instance, we probably have the least amount of division complaints and whatnot, especially having 430 agents.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you do real estate perfect, and this I think should be your spiel, you still get sued.
Everyone gets sued. You don't have to do any. Everyone says that the first answer is I didn't do anything wrong, and I turn around and say, what makes you think you have to do something wrong to get sued?
I would tell you that you're doing something right. I would argue that you are not a successful business person in the 21st century in the United States of America until you have been sued.
So we made it.
Yeah.
We made it, baby.
So there you go.
Maybe I should put on a suit jacket for this one.
Maybe I don't want to be successful.
That's part of the whole game of being a leader, like what we talked about. I don't know if we forwarded it to you already. Got one of our agents did nothing wrong on a mold issue, and we got named with 80 other people, sending it right over. So rather have to navigate through your E&O insurance and deal with that, you have an attorney that can look through the whole thing and try to work through the whole thing. Fair?
Yeah. And depending on your E&O insurance, you might be able to have input on who your counsel is rather than some insurance attorney who doesn't understand the nature of your industry. That's part of what I thought I could do was bring that. And I'll be honest, this year it's 18 years practicing law in Nevada. The first time I knew that there was a realtor association was when I drove there. So I was selling my house at the time. And so when the CEO's assistant called me for my interview, I thought that they were someone who was trying to get access to my house. So I walked them through how they can't let the dogs and the cats out. And there was a very long pause before they said, we're here, we'd like you to come in and interview. And I'd never been to the GLBR before that, and I'm sure I speak for 90% of the attorneys in Nevada.
A lot of people don't know. I mean, the beauty of Dave is it's like hiring an attorney that used to work for the IRS to go against the IRS. Like not even the IRS, but like he understands how it works. So if like I had an issue that I wish I could have had you, I went to an arbitration a couple of years ago, and it would have been so powerful to bring you in there with me. My father and I there, and we're pretty much almost undefeated, maybe a tie or two in arbitrations and mediations, but it's a whole nother game to bring in an attorney.
Well, you know why? Because we don't go in unless we know we're right.
True. Good point.
know, whereas some brokers know they're wrong and they go in. If I'm wrong, I'm going to say, I'm sorry. What is it going to take to fix this?
Yeah.
That's why when we do go in, the fight is a good fight.
So having access to you is huge.
Yeah, I was the person who trained professional standards for 6+ years. So we understand procuring costs. We understand the burden of evidence to prove there, where you'd have an attorney from outside who may not be as familiar with that. Lawyers are trained to speak to judges, and there's nothing against volunteer trade professionals, but there is a different way to make sure that you're communicating in things that they understand. They understand that concept of procuring costs. They understand the agent's role and participation, whereas a judge can probably be more technical and look for a technical analysis. Whereas, every one of the people on that professional standards panel has had a bad transaction. So how do we make sure to provide them the information they need so they'll rule in our favor under existing Nevada law?
Beauty is this, you have a dispute upon, let's say, the purchase agreement, how it's interpreted. It's powerful enough to say that him or I were the president when we made this form, that in itself. But it's a whole nother game to be like, oh, and my attorney is the one who actually wrote it. So there's a lot of leverage there too.
Yeah, I represent a lot of buyers and sellers in earnest money disputes, property management issues as well. And then just simple things like, for example, I recently helped a client who had discovered that their legacy properties out in East Las Vegas, that the builder didn't really pay attention to these things called property lines. So we were able to put together a relatively quick easement to address that within the time frames, because we knew we had to close within a certain period of time. So we were able to address that as a condition of sale rather than blowing up the transaction to find an attorney. It would take forever to do it.
So quick, you know what he does. I mean, you want to ask or what else he does? I mean, outside of this, outside of just the real estate realm, there's some other things you do, right?
I do basic contract stuff. For example, all of the contracts that the association entered into, from its MLS data providers to its syndication to its custodial services, was part of my job to review all of those. So reviewing basic contract review is part of what I do.
Commercial deals.
I was the person who wrote the agreement for when GLVR sold its building, and in that transaction. I do business entity incorporation,
LLCs,
those kinds of
LLCs.
things. I do basic wills and trusts and that. I've done homesteads. Basically, I try to focus my business on real estate and its related industries. So if you are a broker or you have a team, you definitely need to have a team agreement. If you are looking to rent space, you definitely want to have somebody looking at that. If you are considering going out and having clients who are interested in the Henderson Airbnb process, the applications are due in about a month, and it's an extremely burdensome process.
All right, so just to, this wasn't supposed to be this, but I got an idea. So Dave, this is what Dave does. You can reach him at David B. Sanders at Mac?
No, it's dbsanders at davidbsanderslaw.com is my new email address. Or just pop by the WeWorks on West Charleston and get coffee.
Or call him at 290-1382. What I am going to put you on the spot, you talked about, there's so many people who would probably benefit from this. So having you on, give them a little freebie, explain Airbnb where you can and cannot do it. I mean, I know I've talked to you recently on this. People are confused. Unincorporated Clark County, incorporated Clark County, North Las Vegas, Henderson. Where could you do it?
So this Clark County, it is unlawful. You're not going to go to jail, but they did recently, there's no Airbnb jail, so sorry about that. But they have recently increased the sanctions. It used to be you'd get a fine, and some of those business people who are making a significant amount of money on the Strip would just pay the fine. Mm-hmm. Now they're including it in your taxes, meaning that if you don't pay the fine in your taxes, they can foreclose on the property. The city of Las Vegas, I'm sure you've seen, they have an application process. Mm-hmm. To say it's difficult would be an understatement. Okay. It's just about impossible to get. And then you also have to make sure that your HOA allows it. North Las Vegas, there's no civil restrictions whatsoever. Okay. So as long as your HOA allows it, you can do it in... Because
it's unincorporated?
The city of North Las Vegas doesn't have any restrictions.
Gotcha.
So you have to look at unincorporated Clark County, the city of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and lastly Henderson. Henderson has recently changed their rules. They go into effect on October 14th. So technically today, it is still unlawful, but on October 14th, it will become legal.
Just check mine.
They're
And
submitting
drink
an application process. It's pretty burdensome. You have to have noise maintenance. You have to have someone who's available all the time. If you use a property manager, you don't have to take a class. If you're going to do it yourself, you have to take a specific course. You have to notify people within a certain radius of your
So
property.
basically, what he's saying, because he's getting into pure lawyer speak, is that we don't know what this. So to do it the right way, you need to have an attorney. So we've had Dave in to talk about multiple things as part of it. The next one you're going to come in on, we're going to talk about this in depth.
But the scary thing is that they do allow them in condos and townhomes, but the condos and townhome restriction is a 25% cap of the total units, meaning that, and it's first completed applications get there. As soon as they get to 25%, they're going to reject. So if you're looking to do it in a condo and a townhome, assuming that the HOA allows it, you really need to be in line on October 14th. Because as soon as they hit that, and it's based on completed applications. So if you submit an incomplete application, for example, you don't have your noise disbursement plan set up correctly, you don't have the necessary paperwork to notify the neighbors done, they'll reject the application. You'll have to reapply, and if somebody hits that 25 cap, and
You're out.
You're out.
And if the agent has sold and closed on it, assuming that the buyer bought for Airbnb, now the lawsuit will go down to the agent and their company for selling the property on the assumption that it could be an Airbnb, and it won't be.
Yes,
Believe me, yeah.
probably need to speak to an attorney or someone who's familiar with the process, because the city's application process is not difficult, but it is certainly burdensome.
Gotcha.
So for the Urban Nest agents listening, as Dave and I are the brokers, if you're going to sell a property for Airbnb,
Call us.
and then let's have Dave speak to the buyer as their client and inform them what they have to do.
I love when you go off topic and off procedure.
That's me.
Call us. We'll talk to Dave. We don't want 50 people calling Dave.
No, you're missing my point. They're going to have to, the client has to hire
Gotcha.
the
Gotcha.
client to get it accepted, and for that sale to go through without the client would
So
probably
we're gonna
be smart enough to hire Dave and guarantee that their property then could become an Airbnb.
Which this agent should be not answering that question anyway.
Right, call Dave.
I agree.
Call us so we know.
So again, 702-290-1382.
Yep.
So now, okay, pause. All right, so the last segment you're going to be a part of. You
Okay.
ready? So not to put you on the spot, but we play a game here on
God.
what the market does, what the market is doing. So the week of, because we're going to cut this segment, week of 9/9/19, that week to 9/16/19. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the week of. Right now, the median price came out for last month at $305,000, which is up 3.4% from August of last year. So much for a bad economy. We're only in a 2.5 month supply.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which means that if you sold every house on the MLS and you didn't list any new ones, you'd be out of houses to sell in about 100 days. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, excuse me, 75 days. So it's like a 75-day supply. So here's where we're going with this. Buyer's market or seller's market?
You're not asking me.
Again with the phone.
You're not asking
Again
me.
with the phone. We're going to have a no phone. What can't wait?
I just like reading my emails.
Oh my God. I'm going to name this the Dave Show.
Good. All right.
right.
He's going to ask my opinion. Buyer's market.
So how could you say it's a buyer's market when the median price is going up and the available houses is still very low?
Because I base my facts on what happens in this company and this office. And what I see is the agents with the listings coming to me, and I get to do the comparables and see how much the houses are worth. And I see really pretty houses priced right, not selling.
Fair.
And that's how I judge what it is.
Dave, buyer's or seller's market?
I don't know. I'm not a real estate licensee. I would hire a well-qualified realtor to tell me that.
Great answer. I couldn't have played that better. That was fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm going to go with buyer's market as well. And I'm starting to, I've on record saying I've been stacking some money and waiting for the economy to turn. I think that now is also a great time to buy, because I've been looking at some of the deals out there, and even if the price does drop 5%, so I am evolving on this. Even if the price drops 5% in a recession, the interest rates and the ability to negotiate right now are really good. So I believe that you can get a similar deal now than you could in a market that drops a little bit and a rate that goes a little bit higher. So I would say yes, buyers. And I do believe we have buyers who are uncertain, that follow the Zestimate up and down way too much, watch the news way too much, because they don't know what to do. And that's where the realtor comes in. You have to provide certainty and clarity and perspective for the agent, for the client, right? And I think we have sellers who are so in love with their houses, thinking that it's way overpriced, it's worth more than what it is. So when you have an uncertain buyer and a seller that is irrational, that's when there's a little bit of stagnation, and it takes time for the seller to realize that they're irrational, and it takes time for the buyer to actually realize that they're irrational. There's uncertainty, and that is why there is realtors in the first place. Because if there wasn't uncertainty and irrationality in human beings, you could do this without realtors. And guess what? You can't, because for the history of the world, buyers and sellers and human beings have been irrational. So good luck, AI, replacing that. So that's my parting shot. You have any parting shots?
My parting shot is this. For once we agree 1,000% on your list.
1,000%.
1,000%.
My favorite line.
There you go.
What about you, my friend?
My realtor had to, when I bought my house, had to calm me down from suing everybody on a regular basis. So
How'd that work out for you?
it worked out really well. I'm really in a good spot.
One guess who his realtor was. We won't give it away. One guess. All right, guys. That's it for the Dave and Dave Show, episode 52. Thanks for tuning in. We'll get at you next week.